Okay, so welcome. Thank you very much to everybody who's joining us. Thank you everybody for participating in the chat. So that was a very good demo. I don't know whether you caught any of that, Chris, but that was an excellent demo on the glass tube versus ceramic tube lasers. So yeah, thank you very much for that, Johnny.
Very,
and
very informative. Very informative.
Yeah, absolutely. So as Sean said, I'm joining. My name's Andrew Dudley. I'm the area sales manager for Trotec Laser in Ireland, working out of our Dublin showroom, as you can see behind me. And Chris over there is in our head office. So Chris, and you look after the northeast of England and Scotland, I believe.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. So the north of England. Where would the north end for you? Where are the southern softies from?
So I cover from anywhere from around about Leeds upwards, all the way up to, well, north of Scotland, really. Anywhere above there. That's my territory, yes.
All the way up into the Shetlands.
That's right, yeah. If needs be, that's where we'll go.
Exactly. Okay, so that's a bit of introduction. So today's session, or this morning's session, we're going to talk a bit more about applications. So this is more of an inspirational session. So showing you samples, showing you what you can achieve with the different lasers in terms of the different materials. So this might be for, perhaps customers that have a laser and maybe only do a couple of products and want to expand what they're doing, or for completely new people to lasering and to see what they can do. Again, this is not necessarily an extensive list of what can be done, but it's things that we think that would be interesting for you. Okay, so before we start, again, if you want to shout out in the chat or if you've got any questions about specific samples, I'll be able to look at what's going on in the chat as we go, and hopefully ask Chris or answer the questions myself. But Chris is going to mainly take on the presenting role today. So if I just do this one, there we go. Yeah, you get your front and center now, Chris. So the first sample we have is the guitar. I think that's the one that catches the eye first.
It does, yes. It's always something that when people walk into the showroom here, that's one of the things that catches their eye. Hopefully we can see that here.
Yeah, that's
we've
perfect.
engraved Eric Clapton on there.
Yeah, it's definitely Eric Clapton, not somebody else. And so how's that? And that's done with a CO2 laser.
CO2 laser, yes. Yep, 333 DPI. We don't need a lot of contrast in here. The wood tends to, and the varnish tends to bring that out for us.
Okay, and so that was an already varnished guitar, and then the wood, the laser's taking that varnish off as well.
That's right. Yes. Yeah.
Brilliant. And so photograph engraving into wood, or just normal engraving into wood, I think, as you saw in the last webinar, again, something that a laser engraver, a typical application for laser engravers generally, engraving into wood. So that's a fantastic example.
Yeah, just a bit of added value, really, even to just a personal item that you wanted to personalize yourself, or. I mean, I've never seen these in the marketplace or anything like anyone doing them. I've seen the plectrum being done with a photograph, but never someone directly straight onto the back or actually selling them. So maybe a good idea for somebody.
Exactly. And so I think we're going to continue the photograph engraving theme, and I think you got an acrylic sample there.
I do, yes, yeah. So we've got Jimi Hendrix here on a piece of black acrylic. We've used a fiber laser for this particular one. Hopefully we'll be able to see it. There's quite a lot of shine in the showroom. We've used a fiber laser in this case. It kind of marks the surface and brings out all the contrast. Now, this doesn't work on, in my opinion, it doesn't really work on anything else but black acrylic. I've tried it on reds, blues. That's the fiber, that is. It doesn't give out the contrast, so it is kind of a one-off maybe application.
Yeah, and do you find that on other colors you'd need to use the CO2 laser on other colored acrylic to get any result?
Yes, definitely, Andy. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so that was all engraved and cut into the Speedy 400 Flex, I believe. I think based on the size of the sample.
Yes, yeah, all cut on one machine. So yeah, so use the fiber for engrave, CO2 to cut.
Yeah, I think that's answered Sophia's question, who's just put that in chat, which machine that was done on. What machine was the guitar done on? I'm not sure if you
It was done on the 400, just as the bed size, it could fit straight into the 400. Yeah.
No, absolutely. Fantastic.
So I'll just put that back.
Yeah, exactly. So typically, again, cutting and engraving wood and acrylic, very typical applications for a laser. Again, you might not do photos, but obviously it's showing off what the lasers can do. I think you've got some anodized aluminium, the photo on anodized aluminium. I think it's one of your favorite shows.
It is one of my favorite shows. They started filming last week, so bit of a Peaky Blinders fan.
A little bit closer.
A little bit closer, yeah. There we go.
Yeah. So I think the one thing in anodized aluminium you see is the very, very sharp detail that you can achieve. This is something that, again, we've got plenty of samples in each showroom, and yes, the detail is basically the dot gain of the laser. So you don't get much dot gain. That dot that the laser puts onto the material, it doesn't spread like it would do potentially on wood. So you can achieve very high detail results. Again, depending on what you what image you have to start with is what you're going to get out. But yeah, that's certainly something that you can achieve. And I'd say, Chris, and maybe you'd agree that you'd need probably a ceramic laser to achieve that level of detail, whereas a glass tube machine, as you probably saw in the last demonstration, might not necessarily achieve that quite level of detail.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, I did use a 1.5 inch lens for this on the Speedy 100. Took around about 8 minutes.
About 8 minutes, yeah. That's pretty quick. That's pretty quick. Again, we've got a question from. Sorry, I should be bringing these up, shouldn't I? Peter from asks what machine for the aluminium. Again, this was generally a CO2 laser to produce that contrast. You can use a fiber laser on anodized aluminium as well. I don't know whether you'd say that, Chris, but I tend to find that you get a brighter mark out with a CO2 if that's what you're looking for on the anodized than the fiber laser. But that's more to do with sort of finding the right settings generally. But yeah, a CO2 laser on anodized aluminium would be the one.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah. So, is there any questions so far about the photographs? Now we do have a webinar at 20 to 3 today UK time with Alex, our applications engineer, specifically on photo engraving. So that's something definitely to check out if you're interested in specifically, the aspects of photo engraving. So contrast, color, correction, all that sort of stuff in terms of and settings. So definitely worthwhile checking out. I certainly learned a lot when I first looked at the webinar he did last year on that one. So there's always something to learn from that.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, even the Peaky Blinders photo, I did take that off a 4K image off a Google search, but I did have to tweak that a little bit as well. It took me around about 20 minutes to tweak it and just get some settings right for the anodized aluminium. So photographs is something that you can quickly work with or really spend some time on to gain a bit more detail.
Yeah, I think I'm the same. I've got a sample on anodized aluminium with some album covers, and I literally just took them off Google and basically stuck them in Corel and sized them correctly, and they come out lovely. So yeah, you can spend a lot of time, but if you've got a good image to start with, then it makes a lot of difference. Moving on, I think the next sample is on the back wall, so it's a little bit hard to see, but maybe if you go over, Chris, and sort of point it out, and it's apparently one of the Mexican god of death. It's Katrina, I believe. I might be butchering that name quite a lot, but this is anodized aluminium and acrylic in one design.
Yeah, so we've engraved anodized aluminium. The backing is anodized aluminium, and then we've layered it up with different colors of acrylic, just to give that sort of 3D image, just a bit brighter.
Yeah, and
again, it's a one-off piece. Yeah.
Yeah, and the face is, I think, engraved, and then the thing, is it the hair or the?
Yeah, so this is all laser engraved here on the anodized aluminium. If we can see where I'm pointing to, the rest is obviously all the colors are all built up from multicolored acrylic.
Yeah, and as you can see, you can use multi-materials to create a really nice effect. It's a bit hard to see that, but you just have to go to the showroom to find out whenever we're able to.
Yes, quite difficult to take off the wall as well.
Exactly. Onto the anodized aluminium to the right, to the right as I see it. So that maybe to the right is I think it's the London Tube map in anodized aluminium. Now I'm just going to move my screen because obviously
You've got a bit of a smaller one, haven't you?
I've got a bit of a smaller one, and it's also something I can take off the wall, which is a little bit handier. So I'll just show you that there. So as you can see, you can get a very high level of detail with anodized aluminium. It's a really lovely material to work with, and you might be able to see that the different colors of the line have different intensities. So effectively, when the different colors are taken into the software, they're given a percentage black, effectively a grayscale, and you can really tell. You can really sort of see the difference. It's probably a bit harder to see on the camera, but certainly you can see the different contrasts in each line of the London Underground. So that makes it a wonderful material to work with. I suppose typically, I mean, what would you say your typical customers that are using anodized aluminium? I mean, a lot of it is ratings plates. That I would see. So machine ratings plates with ID numbers and serial numbers and things like that. Is there anything else that you've seen, Chris?
That's about it, really. We see standard stuff, but in industrial business, this is a real need for the industrial rating plate. We've actually got them on back of all of our Trotec lasers. Serialization, date of birth, address. Yeah, pretty standard. When we put a photograph onto something, it's it's a one-off piece that we've just played with the material and found something to make a lovely sample with.
Exactly. So unless there's any, oh sorry, hang on. I've got another. We've got a few questions here. So, small size lens. So one question from Scott is, so are the smaller lens sizes for better, more intense images? It's probably more of a technical question that we're trying to maybe cover later, but yeah, generally what you get with a smaller lens size in terms of the focal length is a smaller spot size. So you're potentially going to get more detail. So if you can run it at a higher resolution, so you might be able to find get more detail out of 1000 dpi, for example, on anodized aluminium in a 1.5 inch lens as opposed to a 2-inch lens, as opposed to a 2.5 inch lens. Typically, there's a few videos on YouTube actually from Trotec of this where they look at text specifically on the different lenses, so you can see the point size of the text. So go to 3-point, 4-point, 5-point size text, and you'll see that the 1.5 inch lens will resolve the smaller text compared to the 2-inch and the 2.5. But most of the time, a 2-inch lens would be probably where we're working on.
More than adequate.
Yeah, more than adequate for most applications. But if you require slightly more detail, then the 1.5 inch lens is definitely worth trying.
Yeah, and that's all about our part of our consultation. When you come to us and ask for a laser price or a demonstration, we'll go through with you what you need, what potentially you need in the future. So we'll spec the correct machine for you from the beginning.
Yeah, I think the next two questions we've got are for specifically stone and slate, which we're going to come on to in a second. So if you just bear with us, we'll get to them. So I'll just hide that. It's extremely bad. So the next one is actually a file or a sample that was done from by a customer. So this is a wooden box made from MDF, I believe. So this is I think was a customer down in the Bristol way.
Yeah, so a lot of people work with MDF. This is engraved. Let me just pull that closer for you so that you can see that.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, and maybe a bit up so we can see. Yeah. So this was actually a hot sauce bottle or chili sauce bottle, which I think would probably kill you if you drank it, based on how hot it was. It would certainly kill me. But yeah, you can see the detail in the engraving there. Even on wood, it's very, very high detail. You can get a nice definition as well, again, using the techniques that the guys said in the last webinar about getting more of a burn mark on the wood. You can get a nice contrast. And again, using the 6mm, it's quite a nice material to make things out of as well, isn't it?
Yeah, so this box has been glued together. So we're actually created a box and engraved something out of that.
Yeah, exactly. Brilliant. So again, any questions as we go along on specific samples or specific materials, please drop them in the chat and we will get to them as we go, if not at the end. So now, I think leading on from I suppose we've done quite a bit of wood, but leading on from wood, there's paper and card. So I think you've got a few samples of paper and card. Again, this is something that we've got plenty of customers cutting or engraving.
Yes.
So what have you got there?
So I've got it's a strawberry made out of red card, very thin. Here we go. Can we see that all right?
Yeah, no, that's perfect. It's almost something that you'd find a punnet of strawberries in if you went to Wimbledon, if it was ever on again.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly. It sort of fits in, but yeah, it just shows you the creativity you can have with different designs. Yeah, no, that's brilliant. So that's just a couple of pieces of card, and
yeah. So I've actually got a Christmas card here that we did a couple of years ago. Oh.
We did have a Christmas card.
Yeah, we did have. Yes. So we've actually engraved that as well. Can we see the engraving on there?
Yeah, you can see that. Just tilt it a little bit, yeah. And so you've got the engraving there, and also then the signatures. Were they engraved as well?
They were, yes, yeah.
So that was just
we engraved the back as well.
Brilliant.
See that?
Yeah, I think the other side was a bit easier. Yeah, so that's really creative. There's quite a lot of possibilities. Again, we've got I've got a customer in Ireland that's cutting maps of the country. So designing maps and cutting them out for and framing them, things like that. So you can get your home county or your home city map design. So if you can't visit them at the moment, it's you can have a little bit on the wall where it reminds you of what they are and the memories there. So I think you've got a customer sample as well, which was the light.
I do, yes, yeah. So this was given to us by Hannah Nunn. She's on this afternoon with Trevor. It's a lamp. It's a working sample. I think this one's made out of parchment card paper, I believe. It's quite robust. All laser cut.
Okay,
it's a sample, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, that's a great sample, and I think we'll have one in every showroom shortly as well. So if you're ever able to get into the showrooms, you can have a look at that yourself. And Hannah, I think, is on, as you said, with Trevor at 3:20 today, so just after the photo engraving webinar. So definitely worthwhile having a check of that out and seeing what she does with the laser machines. Now moving on, I think there was a question. Yes, there's a question about slate and stone in general. So I think there's a sample you have there, which is one of your favourites, which is one of your passions, Chris.
Yes, I am a motorsport fan. I do like Formula One as well. Ayrton Senna is. I grew up watching him, so I've engraved a famous quote of his. Can we see that all right?
Yeah, so I think the quote says, "The harder I push, the more I find within myself." Yeah,
that's correct. Yeah.
So so you can get, so very, very nice detail on the granite. And does it work? I suppose the granite works generally better if it's if it's more of a uniform color, sort of a black granite rather than a sort of a speckled or a lighter color granite, because you get the contrast with the white of the engraving.
That's right, yeah. I mean, I've had experiences with customers who've purchased speckled granite before, and it just doesn't bring out the contrast once it's been lasered. So it does need to be a black granite, to get sort of that sort of intricacy of detail.
Yeah, I found with the speckled granite, you can engrave it, but then maybe a color fill afterwards. It's certainly with text and things like that might bring it out as well. But it's a lot better when you've got a uniform. And then there's the slate example. So unfortunately, it's a bit of a small coaster. If you can bring it
closer, is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. So what do you get with that, Chris? So is that done on a CO2 as well?
Again, CO2, very straightforward. Yeah. You kind of with slate you get that sort of contrast straight away. We don't need a lot of power to do that with.
Yeah. So hopefully. Lothian Woodworks and Sophia, hopefully that's shown you an example of the slate that we in the stone that we can see. So again, it's a very easy material to laser engrave
to work with the
CO2. It does create quite a bit of dust, so you just got to make sure that your extraction system's up to scratch and you're maintaining that well. That's the only sort of thing, I suppose, with stone that I would suggest if anybody's cutting it or engraving it themselves. You have another customer's sample there, which is, I think, something you was donated the last few weeks, which was something pertinent for these times.
Yes, yeah. So first of all, many thanks to Amy Britton for donating some samples for us. She's based out of Stirling. She makes sort of bags out of Harris tweed. Now, Harris tweed material, if we cut with some scissors or a knife, it does fray. With a laser, it works brilliant because we cauterize the edges. Last year, obviously, with COVID, face masks became mandatory, and Amy's been doing Harris tweed face masks, which look amazing, to be honest with you. We've been donated a few, and then also some fabric ones as well. Now, these are tested all the way up to 85% filtration efficiency, so she's done a brilliant job. I've been there a few times, and it's a great facility to see.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And she's up in Scotland, you said?
In Stirling, yes, yeah.
In Stirling, yeah.
Not far away from our showroom in Stirling, to be honest with you.
Okay, yeah, no, excellent. And you're up there, well, whenever you can, I suppose, or whenever you need to, at the moment. So yeah, it's again, we've got showroom facilities dotted all around the UK and Ireland.
Yeah.
And what machine does she use for?
She's got a Speedy 400 CO2, 120 watts.
So and it would be a CO2 for the
fabric, yeah.
For the fabrics, yeah. No, perfect. Again, if there's any questions, I think there's a question about anything cut on the R400, so we might come to that at the end by Nathan. But yes, so moving on, we've got some giftware. So I don't want to steal your thunder because I think you're on next with Jamie on the rotary engraving.
Yeah, we'll do a quick show of what we're going to make.
But we've got a few gifts.
Yeah. So we do keep these in our web shop. A glitter water bottle. But me and Jamie will run through that in about 10 or 15 minutes time. We'll just run through how we use a rotary. We do have a fabric book as well. We touched on fabric before. Something different. We do sell them.
Yeah, so we sell them in the web shop. But that's that's a very light engraving, isn't it, with the CO2? So that's just
very, very light. Yes, yeah. You can't really feel it. It's just a fabric color change.
Yeah, basically, yeah. So again, with the ceramic laser tube, as you sort of saw in the previous webinar, you can have you've got a great deal of control over it. So yeah, you can just take off the surface to get the color change. And with the bottle, you're taking off the coating to reveal the metal underneath, I think, on that one.
That's right. Yes. Yeah. Just taking off the powder coating to relieve the metal underneath. Yeah.
Yeah, it's far too shiny for the camera to.
Can you not see it that well?
No,
I haven't got a screen to have a look at. So yeah,
no, it's good. We can see it, but it's just very, very shiny.
Sean did have a gold one. It didn't appear that great on camera. I mean, I do have one of our golden cups, which I've put a Walt Disney quote on. I'm not sure whether we can see that too well.
Okay, just rotate it a bit.
Yeah,
we can see that. Yeah. Again, it's I think when the background's quite busy, then a simple big engraving works quite well. And then yeah. Again, there's lots of different samples.
We got our rubber stamp as well.
Yep.
So this is our history. Trotec is our parent company. Our history is rubber stamps. The CO2 machines were developed for this particular reason, to get that amount of detail in there.
Yeah, we can see that huge amount of detail.
We see that,
yeah, perfect.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and again, like the slate, the rubber's a very, very, very hard material to work with in terms of the extraction. So having a really good extraction system for the rubber makes a massive difference in terms of the usability and longevity of your laser. But rubber, yeah, the fantastic in terms of what you can do. And again, that could be, police stations, it could be post offices. There's lots of different people that still need rubber stamps to stamp documents and things like that. Sorry, I'm just gonna come back. So I think Yi-Dai, I think if I've pronounced that correctly. So sorry, but what did you say about the type of black granites earlier? I've only heard you mention one type work better than the other, but I haven't had time to note it down. So I think going back to this was if the granite was with granite you can get speckles in the material. So and what happens is when a bit I suppose like the gold cup, when the background becomes busy, the engraving doesn't stand out quite as well. So generally, if you're going to do a photograph in the granite, it needs to be, you want it as black as possible and without the speckles. So that's really what we're sort of getting at in terms of having that contrast.
Definitely.
Yeah. So I think the next, it's almost last but not least, is the Trolets. So this is the engraving laminates. So again, this is a material that we manufacture in our factory in America.
It is, yes, health and safety sign, very common in the workplace.
Yep.
Can we see that all right? Yep, there we go.
Yep.
Very straightforward.
And so this is a type of material. Again, this is something that a lot of our customers would use anyway, but maybe not everybody. And this is effectively you're engraving off a color of the material to reveal a color underneath. So the yellow's on top there and the black is underneath.
That's right. Yes. Yeah. So then I decided. I seen one of our customers started to put photographs into Trolets. They look amazing.
Yeah, that's you can get a very, very, very good result with that. Again, that's using the ability of the ceramic tube to effectively get that contrast in the material. I think I've also got if I can show you, yeah. So I've got another sample there. Again, it's white on black engraving laminate. You can see hopefully you can see there's the black base on the background and then the white on top, and you effectively engrave the white off to reveal the black underneath. We've also got, I suppose, standard stuff that we would see on our customers doing is these types of ratings plates, again, or information plates. So again, this is something that you can mock up, and you've got product serial numbers and dates and everything like that. That's information. That's generally what customers would use. And then this is a green on white laminate. And also, it doesn't mean that you can't do signage as well. So that's the other thing that, and we've got this metallic finished laminate, and you can get this in brushed gold, brushed copper, brushed silver, as you see here, along with all the other sort of normal primary colors. And again, this is on a black background. But yeah, you can kind of see. Hopefully that shows nicely. You can see that the level of detail you can get in both the logo and also the lettering. It's very good.
And that's out of the metallic Trolets as well, Andy, yeah?
That's metallic Trolets, yeah. Okay, back to you. Yeah, and so that material is, again, made for laser processing. So the next one, I think, is glass. I think that's sort of...
Yeah, glasses are very common. We're going to run through the rotary with Jamie next on glass. Very common application. Just a quick sample there that we can look at. Hopefully we'll be able to see a little bit of that, can we?
Yeah, I think a bit closer. Maybe we can... yeah, that's good. And then rotate. Yeah, so you can see, again, we're quite a shiny showroom, but we can see that. It's Kevin's 40th.
Yes, happy birthday, Kevin.
Exactly, happy birthday, Kevin. So that was done, again, that was done with a CO2 laser. Is that right, Chris?
CO2 laser, yes, yeah.
Yeah, perfect. And again, you're going to go through that a little bit more in the next actually in the next session. So you're not actually getting a break, are you?
No, straight into it. We'll go into a bit more detail how we've done the glass. We've got a full demonstration on that next, yes.
Perfect. Okay, so I think that's probably about that in terms of the materials that we had. So I'll just have a quick look at the
yeah, if we've got any questions.
The questions. So again, if there's any questions you have, just anything you've seen or any other materials that you want to see. I think there was one before this, so I'll come back to that in a second. Can you engrave the bottles on the Speedy 300? Yes. So the I'll just share this so we're both the same size. Yes, we have the rotary attachment for all of the Speedy range, so the Speedy 100, the 300, the 360, and the 400. It's also available on the Rayjet 50 as well, so the small Rayjet. So you can engrave cylindrical objects with those.
So the next demonstration is on the 300 as well.
Oh, it's on the yeah, exactly. So
It
it's
is,
on
yeah.
the 300 as well. But again, it could be on the
Could be on the 100 or anything, yeah.
Yeah. So what's it, Chris? So do we have anything cut, engraved on the R series? I think I've got something cut. If I just bear with me 1 second. So I think this was what I did on the R500. So it's a very similar machine to the R400 in terms of it's got effectively the same laser source in it. So the red acrylic here, that's what I cut on the R series. So hang on, I'll just make the screen a bit bigger. Wrong one. So you can see. So again, the clock face, the 1, 2, 3, the acrylic was cut. The actual the face there, that was done with Trolets. That's actually done on the Speedy. Okay, so it was kind of trying to match the two different machines together in terms of what their sort of capabilities are. Again, for cutting acrylic, again, I don't know whether you can see that. It's a bit difficult to see, but yeah. So again, you can see it cuts acrylic fine. Again, you've got the stepper motors and things like that with the R series, which isn't quite as the Speedy does perform better, but you can still get there with the R series, and it's certainly a great entry level entry point to the market.
I do believe we have something a webinar on that as well. The differences between the two coming up.
Yes, differences between those coming up. Okay, I think the next question was from Peter. So I can cut very fine detail on my card paper, but I can't get the settings set up correct to mean I get no soot on the edges. Smudge is a real issue. Any suggestions? Oh, hello, Brian. Have we got over time?
No, you're not quite over time yet, but I thought I'd give you the few-minute warning.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, so I think we've just got 2 questions left, and then we'll wrap up. Let me get soot on the edges. Smudging is a real issue. Any suggestions? So Chris, is there a few suggestions that you can suggest on the?
Sometimes it's down to the paper and card. I've found with cheaper paper and cards, there's a lot of carbon in there. It gives off a little bit more dust. The edges are a little bit more brown. Also depends on what laser you're using as well. Are we running a ceramic or laser tube or a glass tube laser tube, Peter? There is a big difference between the two when we cut paper and card, either on the 2 laser sources.
I think you need to look at the lens you're using as well. So the finest spot size you can get. So a 1.5-inch lens would be ideal. And also we tend to turn the air assist off when we're cutting paper and card because you tend to get more debris when you're blowing down on it at the same time, which is not ideal, obviously.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've noticed, Andy, you've had a question from Edinburgh Craft Studio. Can we see the textile samples? You've got a nice big cushion there, which is a nice textile sample.
Yes, yeah. Can we see that all right?
I will, hang on 1 second. Here we go. So that was.
Chris, just tell us how that's been done.
CO2 laser, very, very low power. Run that as 100% speed, very low power, just to give a slight color change on the top. Again, we can't feel the engrave. It's just slightly, you could slightly burn the material, but it's just color changed a little bit.
And how did you get that flat? This would be my question. Or was that done before it was stuffed?
I believe
it was
done before.
Yes, yeah, it was done before. It's from IKEA, believe it or not.
Okay, right. So there's
we can take that out, lie it flat. Works fine.
Good. Excellent. I think there was there another bag as well you had in the back? Or there's something with a T on it. Was that a fabric?
Yes, yeah. So this is a cushion. Again, what we've done here is we've cut everything out of the out of fabric. the T is cut out. Can we see that all right? The T's cut out so we can feel that's two materials together.
Okay, and that's just stuck on somehow.
Yeah.
Heat transfer. Or...
It is, yeah, slightly coming away, to be honest with you. It's just been here a while.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I think we've got one last question, and then we'll probably wrap up. I think if that's right, Brian.
That'll work. You're on about time then. So if you get through this one, and we'll introduce the next.
Good, good. Does engraving curve services require dynamic focusing or something else? If there is a session in this 3-day workshop, you'd go through that aspect. Yes. So 3D surfaces. I suppose the one thing is with a laser, you generally need to be in focus to engrave on the surface. So if you can either move the surface into focus, so this is how the rotary system will work. So Chris and Jamie will go through that next.
Just to draw on a glass, yeah. So really, we need to have the way that it's been engraved is on the top.
Yeah, and you rotate the glass so the glass becomes into focus effectively.
Yeah.
There is an option on our speed marker machines as well, where we've got a dynamic called dynamic shifting, where we can mark on different surface levels as well. So you've got, it's got effectively a component in it which changes where the focal point is. So you can have it set up at one height and then the other height. And it moves it pretty quickly. And again, our speedy range of machines have that as well. So I think Johnny and Trev, showed that in the last webinar with the Z offsets. So you can also do that with the Z offsets as well. But yeah, if you're looking for the three sort of the curved surfaces and dynamic focusing, we have a session on the galvanometer demonstration on day 3 as well. So myself and Johnny will be on that one on Thursday morning, I believe.
11:20 Thursday morning.
11:20. Thank you very much for reminding me. I'll definitely be up by then.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Exactly. So check that one out on Thursday if you're interested in that. Okay, so I think that's us. I don't see any more questions in chat, so I think we'll move on. And just one second, I've just got the a few slides just to show you. This is more just to show, again, we've gone over a few materials. There's a wide range of materials that you can process with lasers, so be it that CO2 lasers or fiber lasers. If you want to find out more, a great source of information is our DIY samples page. This is on our website, so troteclaser.com. Again, there's a link there below if you want to just take a screenshot or something. But again, if you go to troteclaser.com and search for DIY samples in the top, you'll find this page. This has got a great list of samples in terms of different materials, different applications, different industries. So there's definitely something there you might find. It's also got a sample file, so you can download your either PDF or vector file from the site, and also recommended settings for certain lasers. So again, if you're maybe don't have that laser, you can obviously sort of adapt it, or maybe contact your local Trotec area manager, and they can maybe help you out with that. We've also got the online material shop. So this is a great place to have a look at effectively what materials that we supply. So again, we're supplying the engraving laminates, the trolleys, we're supplying the acrylic sheets, anodized aluminium gift bottles, as you saw in the presentation. There's lots of different things to have a look at. So again, well worth checking out. And again, you can have a look on there to see what we offer. And I think the last thing we're going to say is, again, just catch us on social media. You're obviously watching this on either, I think, YouTube or Facebook or wherever the stream's going live. We do have other channels, so we've got the Pinterest, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn as well. So yeah, come and check us out. Come and follow us for the latest news in terms of what's happening. This event, for example, but also product launches and other webinars that we're doing, and rest of the world. So again, I think that's us. I think there's no more questions, and I think we're going to effectively hand over to Brian and the guys now. So if I just bring